Welcome to Dojo.live, the place where top minds in travel and hospitality check in to share insights and breakthroughs shaping the industry. Brought to you by Encora, your trusted partner for AI, cloud, and data-driven innovation. Enjoy your stay. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Encora's Dojo Live, where we have candid conversations with industry leaders who are tackling the biggest technology challenges in travel and hospitality. My name is Kim Lantis, and I'll be your host today, this beautiful May 6th, 2025. Now, this is episode number 5 of our series, Redefining the Digital Storefront, Insights from Hospitality's Direct Booking Leaders. Here with me as my co-host today is America Guerrero. America, good to see you again.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. I didn't want to miss this show, Mark. Nice to see you.
Yes, nothing can hold America back, not even a head cold. So, today with Mark, we're going to be exploring the power behind the page, how booking engines are shaping the future of hotel revenue. Now, here to share how hotels can control their storefront, boost conversions, and simplify distribution with the help, of course, of AI and all that smart tech. Here to tell us all about it is Mark Lewis Brown, CEO and President of Zucchetti North America. Mark, welcome to the show. I know we got to meet each other last year at High Tech, had a quick interview there. I'm so happy to finally have you here on a future show.
Well, thanks for having me, Kim in America. And hello from sunny Oregon. We're outside up here and enjoying the sun. And I'm excited to be with y'all and talk about what's happening in the booking engine world.
Perfect. And I'm a little jealous. Portland sounds nice. I'm bracing for the heat here in Hermosillo, Sonora, Mexico. But we're not here to talk about the weather. We are here to talk about direct booking and how Zucchetti plays a role in that. And of course, learn from you today, Mark. So to kick us off, if you could briefly share your journey in hospitality tech, what excites you most about the role that vertical booking and Zucchetti's tool, vertical booking, right, is playing in today's digital landscape. Do share.
Sure, absolutely. Well, my history starts way back, like 30 years ago, before there was even the internet. We were pulling things off printers and things like that. But I actually started in the airline industry with Delta Airlines. That was my first jump into the travel industry. Then along the way, I've been the owner of several boutique hotels in Salt Lake City and in New Mexico. And then saw the need for a reservation system and loyalty program for smaller hotels. And I started a company called InPoints Worldwide. It was merged and sold to several other companies that we all know the name of, I won't mention. And then jumped into the vertical booking world, which, just by chance, met a man in Italy that was trying to promote his system in the United States. And I worked with him for 5 or 6 years before it was purchased by Zucchetti. So, and Zucchetti is a large company, several billion-dollar company. It's got many verticals. The hospitality division is one of their companies, and they offer many products. Right now in the United States, we're offering vertical booking, we're offering an RMS system and a PMS system, and there's probably 30 more products we could bring in. So it's going to grow, and it's exciting. We see we're doing a lot of acquisitions based upon what hotels need and our clients need, and we're leveraging the technology that we have to bring the latest innovation to our hotels and clients, so that in a very pragmatic way, so that it assists them with their goals, achieving more revenue.
Absolutely. I think technology is exciting, acquisitions are exciting, the change, and of course, listening to your customers and their needs is what it's all about. Something else that's exciting in the industry and the biggest buzz, no surprise here, the loudest one at least, is AI. So I'm very curious as to what ways your tooling at Zucchetti is using AI, especially Gen AI, to help hotels customize and elevate their booking engines. What's that looking like?
Well, as you know, there's several different types of AI, like you mentioned. There's AI and generative AI. We use, or we see AI being used for more of a broader spectrum of things that machines or humans can do human work, or we use it in the RMS system, revenue management system, where it's just making decisions that potentially a human would make based upon data that's fed into it, right? Then there's generative AI, which is probably the big one that's coming, that's being used, because it's actually it's an intelligent way, and it's very an assistance to the hotels to use the generative AI to build things for them and to further define things. And we've integrated that into the booking engine, for example. And we've seen this. There's other companies doing very similar, where the hotelier, when they're looking at their booking engine, deciding what they want it to look like or what styles they would like it to be, they can use the generative AI to, say you're making a package that's a beachfront package. They can use it in our system to generate photos and different descriptions and things to solidify what the client would like to see and what they'd like to see. Hotels have when they're sitting there making their packages or their room descriptions, they tend not to be very creative. It's like let's get it done and let's be factual. But there are other ways to do it, and we know that consumers like to see data, and they, as much as possible. And by using these, the generative AI, it's a great assistance. And we've seen that the booking engines have been much more productive and, more informative, prettier, by using using something that's it's like having an assistant, right? So it's working well. And we know that the booking engine, we know that people want to see pictures and descriptions, and you need to, on the booking engine, you need to offer what you're seeing on the OTAs. You need to show all pictures, and you need to have a map. And I think they're a good example of what needs to follow, and the hotels directly need to do themselves.
Absolutely. And in the tooling that people are already utilizing and having fun with in their everyday lives. So there's, I think, that expectation of why can, on the consumer side, this should be overflowing. Why is it not overflowing? Why can't I do this? Or wouldn't it be cool if I could?
Right.
And now making that a reality. Very
Right.
nice.
It's, pulling it into the system so it's right there, and you don't have to jump out and copy and paste, and because then that's another breaking point, right? They potentially might not go do that. They might just take what they've written and not analyze it properly. So I think having it right there is important.
I do see the fun part in this. There are occasions that I'm playing with Google Flights that I'm just checking how much would I pay if I want to go to London next week, and I see the numbers. But now with images, it's different. Now I'm not just thinking, I'm really imagining how my experience will be with
Right.
this kind of technology. So why, I think you already answered this, but if you have more to tell, please share. Why does this kind of customization, like dynamic images, descriptions, and flexible layouts, matter so much for hotel websites today? How does it help properties stand out from OTAs or even branded competitors?
Well, it's the independent property in a lot of the systems, including ours, has the ability now to change things on a rotation. Like, for example, you can set up 4 seasons, 6 seasons in the booking engine and rotate pictures and make the booking engine something that's changing with whatever you determine you want to show the client. Maybe it's packaging, maybe it's seasonality. You change the pictures. You don't want to show somebody a winter picture in summer. And a lot of that happens manually, but now there's this ability to do it automatically, right? So that you don't have to worry about that, right? Because we know that the more you have to come in and out of the system, the less chances are you'll do it. So it's about using all the automation that we have to make sure the presentation is top notch and right in line with what the guest wants to see, and using some key things, like if somebody puts 3, party of 2 and then 1 child, show them couples deals and couples weekends and things like that, right? you reduce what you're showing them, or you increase what you're showing them based upon whatever we can collect in the booking process.
You don't want to torture them, reminding them how would life would look like. I
Right.
see.
Yeah, that's coming from America's tired. She's a first-time mom with a child under a year old, so she's like,
I
I
love you,
remember
baby.
what, I love you, but I remember what it was like to sleep.
Mama needs to weekend away, right?
Perfect. But I mean, to that point, you could be feeding into that actually, right? Like, oh, yes, the relaxation or take some time off or things. But also looking at, you mentioned this too, that pain point of maybe I'm interested or I utilize Gen AI, but I jump out and I have to use it here and jump back in. And now you've solved that pain point. I'm curious of other types of pain points, some of the biggest pain points that hotels are facing when trying to maintain that consistency. You mentioned seasonality. What does that look like when they're trying to unify that across the booking engine, the PMS, the RMS that you already mentioned, and other platforms? How does Zucchetti and your tooling address this interoperability with the ease of updates, especially for things like the seasonal or promotional changes?
Right. Well, the CRS is for Zucchetti is the point of control. So what we do is within the CRS and many types of integrations, and this is a common way of doing things. Ours is pretty extensive. We use different tools to send out and control different channels, right? So, and trying to make one point of contact again to make sure that the hotels have easy access. So, for example, within our system, you can go in and manage Expedia promotions. You can do the same thing with booking.com. That saves some steps for the hotel to go, instead of going into Expedia or booking.com individually to build things, do things, they can do it all at one point within the system. And then because of the channel manager, they can also control different channels, in different aspects of those channels. Every channel has its own capabilities too. They're not all equal, right? So within the system, you can you use your pictures, send this to this website. You can pick and choose where you want things to go, but still have it all in one place, right? And also choose on the booking engine, which is a channel in the system, choose the aspects that you want to go to the booking engines, or the specific rates that you want to go to the booking engines. So we think by having everything in a common area, that the hotels tend to play with it more and tend to use it more, which is what we want them to do, right? We want them to be creative. It's all about, how many reservations you can make, and, what the close rate is. And so that's our concept.
I'm glad you're touching this topic because for me it's mysterious. I mean, the balance in this. Let's dig into the distribution strategies that you're mentioning: OTAs, direct channels, meta search, GDSs. How should hotels think about balancing reach and control in today's booking environment?
Well, interfacing is a big word right here. So, and I think I've said it a few times, but having complete and high-powered interfaces are really important. So, and it starts with the PMS, right? The PMS feeding us all the information that we need to continue the job down line, right? So it's and within our system and within the interfaces, we have interfaces that are one ways, two ways, three. We call it three-way, but things that where there's lots of data going back and forth. We might get everything from the PMS, so that allows us to even connect to the RMS, right? Because we've got all the data in the CRS, so we can we can remove some of the breakpoints in the potential interface world, right? But we also, we have extensive the interfaces that we have, like I mentioned earlier with Expedia. We're a lead partner, so we have upgraded interfaces, and we just look for the minimum common denominator. So, we try to just put the management into an easy way to look at it, easy, controllable, with the least amount of contact required. It's all, you can set it all up in advance, and all that. So, and in the system, you can manage every, even though you might have a central bucket of inventory and rates, you can manage every individual, OTA or whatever the connection is with a different set of restrictions, inventory, rates, and all that. So it's all about ease of management.
Wow.
Okay.
So I can like automate it so it's one size fits all or personalize it depending on how I want to play the game.
You can make it same for all, or you can break it out into into a bucket. You could say, these three OTAs I want to have this booking engine I want to have this. So you just kind of use bucketing and different management tools.
I see. I have one question, but Kim, there is a siren outside. Could you go to the next question because I don't want to interrupt the show with the noise.
That's Monterey city life for
Yeah,
you for sure. I believe that America was hinting toward what we talked about, and this is something that we had mentioned pre-show when we were planning, Mark, was the GDS, right? The GDS now is sometimes seen as an old school tech, but it's my understanding that it's still very relevant, or you're seeing it as still very relevant. Can you explain why and how hotels can leverage it effectively as part of a modern distribution mix? Because I also know it's something that you're really good at Zucchetti. And what other distribution insights can you share with us?
sure. Yeah, the GDS is, it's been around a long time. And like I said, when I started, we ripped the messages off a printer from the GDS or the bookings. But and that was at one point they were the gold standard for bookings, right? So and today, it's different, right? It becomes and it should be part of every hotel's strategy. We've even seen an increase in bookings. We've seen examples of smaller hotels that would think they'd never get bookings, but depending on where they're located, they're in a corporate area or next to a major factory. And what's happening is a lot of these corporate travelers are traveling based upon company policies, and those policies are usually fed into a booking tool, and a lot of those back into the GDS, right? So we've even seen people that have Airbnb style properties that are connecting to us get GDS bookings. So it's pretty amazing. It's the agents, and then you have the whole agent side booking and looking at it. But a lot of it is corporate tools that you just need to be there. You need to be available. The corporate travel is restricted to using the tool, right? So and that's on top of a heavy duty GDS representation scenario could be getting using consortia and contracting with other major players in the GDS that use the GDS, right? And large hotels already do this, in most cases, but they're in the past, and we still see it. A lot of little hotels are like, oh, I don't need the GDS, and we're like, it doesn't really take anything additionally to be on the GDS. So you're not managing anything different. You can use all your rates that you have, or you could use different rates, but there's no reason not to be there, right? So yeah. So that's
Smart. It's another tool to add to the booking
right.
bucket.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mark, you have also mentioned that using 100 channels should be it should be as easy as using one, okay? So what does that mean in practice? How is this simplifying channel management without sacrificing strategy?
Yeah, I think this whole GDS thing, just like add it. Why not? Is a great example. Anything else?
I mean, it should be, you're still using all the same rates and availability, at least in the main bucket of what you're using. And again, it's about, determining on each OTA, what your strategy is going to be, and whether, if you have a common strategy, you use common rates, and your common policies and pictures and all that. But if you have a strategy, say you want to use something that is offering rates that are opaque or whatever, you can use different strategies for that. And you can open them up 3 days prior to departure. You can set that automatically in the system, that they don't open 3 days until 3 days prior to arrival, or maybe they close 3 days prior to arrival. So there are many things that you can do, and those settings can all be done for years in advance. So you shouldn't have to, if your strategy changes, obviously you have to keep modifying, right? But if you have a set strategy, go in and set it. Part of that is also, making sure you don't set yourself into such a complex strategy that you can't even, it's hard to manage, right? So we like to show the availability and restrictions in many different ways, from grids. We show it in lists. It's all about what the hotel likes to look, how they like to look at it and analyze it, right? So
Totally.
in reality, the only thing 100 channels would do additionally is, it's the setup process probably. If they have their own contracting and different things like that, the hotel still has to do that. But once set in the system, you shouldn't have to do much after that unless your strategy's changing.
All right, so let's zoom back out a little and talk about that strategy. When it comes to increasing direct conversions, what features or strategies are you seeing for your clients that are working kind of best today? Is it in the pricing side, the loyalty side, the design side, which we've kind of already talked about, something else entirely? What advice would you have?
It's like all those pieces, right? So loyalty is important too. So we're a loyalty world right now, right? Everybody has their loyalty programs and they use them different ways, and restaurants, travel, hotels, airlines. But I think that hotels need to have some type of loyalty set up. So whether it's currently in our system, you can sign up and you can sign in, and it's not a point necessarily management, but it's a instant gratification type of loyalty, where we'll give you a better rate, or show you a package maybe that's not available to everyone. And we've seen this in a lot of cases. You see now when you go out and check availability, member rates, right? So that member rate is a way to capture information, right? Because that's what we all want. And so you're willing to give me your email address, I'm willing to give you a discount, kind of thing. Also, the second offer to existing bookers, right? So they, reservations made, and then it's all about going back and saying, hey, we've got this upgrade. How would you like to do this? Would you like to do, you can upgrade now, you can do it at check-in, however you want to manage it, and offer them in different stages of the booking process. You can do it at the time of booking. 2 weeks out, it can look at availability and make an offer. The system can put together an offer for the booker, and it's all about that ancillary revenue. What can we generate from this guest to increase the booking value, right? So that's
Yeah.
and then like I mentioned earlier, changing the booking process to really looking at what the guest, try to take as much information as we have from the guest when they're looking, and customizing it around what we think they're going to do. But at the same time, you don't want to do too much. It's all about getting the booking. So we even have clients that they've made their booking engine, so all you need to do is put your name and email address in there, and then they follow up after that to gather everything else they need. They just want the booking process to be as simple as possible, and then follow
Smart.
up with details, right? Because you've got the commitment already.
Uh-huh. Smart.
Mhm.
You're like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then, yeah.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
absolutely.
And as you said, information is key. So let's talk about data. Data. How are booking engines helping hotels optimizing, upselling, pricing, and guest retention? And what kind of return of investment should they be looking for?
Right. Well, on our booking engine, and I know many others, the data is collected, and we can, hotels can even see when their peak booking periods are. They can, it's they can do a promotion that it's actually time specific. So if they know that their peak window is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., they can have a specific rate that opens up and closes for that period. Or maybe they want other rates to close because it's their highest booking window, right? Maybe they're going to close discounts and things like that. A lot of this is attached to revenue management, but it's also, a lot of the smaller hotels don't have the revenue management system. So the tools in the booking engine should assist with that if they're not going to go to the full-fledged type of revenue management. So, and again, we talked a little bit about, having the booking engine look and feel change based upon what the anticipated needs of the client are. And then, just working through to accommodate specific needs, like extended stays are big right now. So somebody puts in 30 days, you probably shouldn't show them a daily rate, right? That you shouldn't show them something that's not, there's not some benefit for, or show them a combined rate. The big push right now is to show people their total rate. I think you're seeing that on the OTAs, and Airbnb just came out and said, we're showing you the total rate now, right? Because there's nothing worse, I think, for all of us as consumers to think you're getting one thing, but then getting fooled on the next page, right? So where all of a sudden, the add-ons equal half, double your price, and all that. So
Yeah.
and the overall,
And then it hits you in the trust factor where you're like, it
and
feels dirty.
I
What
always,
am I missing? What else?
what else is coming, or it angers you. I mean, it's a negative, right? We don't want that in. So I think by being upfront about the total price, it's a much more positive experience. And we've all seen resort fees for $50, $75. What's that, right? So why not just add it all up and tell them what's real, right? And that's kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, that's our concept. That's what we promote, but you don't have to do it that way. There's, for competitive reasons, you might not have to do it that way. So you want to have the lowest possible rate, just showing out there for competitive reasons.
Right. Make the booking easy. We're coming to the end of our conversation today, and I was curious about emerging trends or technologies that that either you're foreseeing and sort of working on, if you want to talk to the future of where you're headed, or what you think are going to be defining the future of hotel booking in general. And then based off of that kind of trend or direction, what might be one simple action a hotelier can take today to improve their direct performance booking for tomorrow?
Right. Well, I've talked a lot about the booking engine and the ability to change it or to make it more conducive for the guests to make a booking, make it look more like the booking side or the website of the property. I think what you'll see coming up is some of the new AI features will help the hotel actually match it up. So you'll just be able to say, match my booking engine to the style and the same message that my website has, right? So I think that's coming down the pike. And then also with revenue enhancement, and we've heard this and everybody's talked about it. I was on a call earlier today about attribute pricing, where we can take things, benefits of certain rooms that maybe don't qualify to make a whole new room type, because we want less on the list, less data, because we don't want to mess people up with too much data to choose from. But in the next, after the rooms chose, maybe you have two rooms that are 50 square feet bigger, or they have a corner window, and maybe you only have two of those. So you don't want to make a room type, but offer up all these potential attributes that will add to the value of the reservation. And there's a lot that goes into that. How it works with the interfaces to the property management systems. How do you display that to guests? So it's a lot of things to work out, because once again, you don't want to compound the booking process by showing them all this data that they're just like, oh my God, there's so much to choose, right? You want them to close it. So it might have to happen again after the booking. And I think we'll see more packaging, and also the ability to add, the ability in our booking engines to do exactly what you see in the OTAs, with the add-ons and everything that the OTAs can do. So there's a lot coming down the road. It's all about what hotels drive what we do, and I'm sure that's what happens for most of the other folks in this industry. So we're
Absolutely.
hotels, yeah. So.
And your suggested action for the hotelier today, if they're going to do one thing right now, what should it be?
Upgrade your pictures. Make sure your pictures are relevant and good pictures, and relevant pictures. Who wants to see a coffee cup sitting on a desk? I always see pictures like that, and I'm like, okay,
Who's drinking coffee in my room?
yeah, I know, right? Just things like that. Make them relative. Location, views. What does the room look like? They should be centered around that.
All
And the
right,
high
very good tip.
resolution pictures, we want to see that as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be cheap. Hire a photographer, a real one.
Yeah, exactly. Use your iPhone 5 or whatever.
I love it. A big thank you to you, Mark Lewis Brown, for showing us how booking engines are evolving all the way from Gen AI powered customization to, of course, unified channel management and what's to come. Now, before we go, if the audience wants to learn more about Zucchetti North America or get in touch with you, what's the best way to go about doing that?
To get in touch with me?
Yeah, yes, to get in touch with you if they'd like, or just to learn more about Zucchetti in general.
Just Zucchetti NorthAmerica.com. It has everything there. It's the best place to go. My contact information is there, and I'm on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you. Fantastic. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Ancora, for making these amazing conversations possible. Just as a reminder, Ancora does partner with travel and hospitality companies to accelerate their innovation through world-class engineering solutions. And of course, if you enjoyed this conversation, you can check out more just like it on our website, dojo.live, or across the socials as well. And stick around, because tomorrow we're going to be having another conversation. And it's interesting because this is about the corporate side and even some of the extended stay that Mark had touched on himself. We're going to be exploring how evolving guest behavior and corporate travel trends are reshaping demand, and how brands like Reside are responding with extended stay. So don't miss that conversation with J.R. Dembiek, brand president at Reside. So until then, stay curious, stay innovative, and bye for now. Thank you once again, Mark, America.